We do want to bring in now retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kempfer. Hal, happy holidays, happy Christmas Eve. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, happy holidays, Natasha.
I do want to start with, of course, the Israeli airstrike in central Gaza on a refugee camp. It appears to have killed more than 70 Palestinians.
Mm.
What are you tracking with this, and what are you reading into this at this stage of the war?
Well, what I'm reading into this right now is that Israel, of course, did a big strike. The question is, what were they trying to hit? One thing that's not clear is the composition of the casualties, if you will. Every time the Gaza Ministry of Health puts out numbers, and they are an arm of Hamas, they will make it sound like it was primarily innocent civilians that were killed. They will reemphasize the refugee camp aspect of it. Some of these refugee camps have literally been there for generations. They're built up areas. Hamas has very extensive military facilities, military positions, if you will. They're using it for military purposes. So this might be under international law certainly a legitimate strike by all means. The other thing too is it's not quite clear, at least to me, whether or not that was really an area that was not listed by Israel, or if it was one of the areas that listed in the south, I should say in the central area of Gaza, that was to be evacuated, that had not been fully evacuated. And there has been a little bit of confusion in the central and southern parts. The northern part, everybody understood. The central southern part, a little more complex scheme of where they want people to go. And it's possible some of the civilians didn't get out.
It is a tough and ongoing humanitarian situation there. I do want to get your take with the time we have on the new report from the Wall Street Journal this weekend. And it says that just a few days after the October 7th attacks, President Biden actually convinced Netanyahu to halt a preemptive strike against Iran-backed Hezbollah, warning that it could spark a wider war in the Middle East. Now, and apparently Israeli warplanes were in the air awaiting orders during this conversation. Do you believe that President Biden did the right thing? What was narrowly averted here?
Well, what was reported, I certainly think, was the right thing. What they wanted to avoid was to expand the conflict, and certainly Israel had a number of reasons to do a preemptive strike. Probably, I don't have all the intelligence, obviously, but let's just say Hezbollah has been very active on that northern border. They've been doing a number of things, and they may have seen things. But the U.S. reportedly stepped in and said, "Look, we've looked at some of this intelligence. We don't think it's what you think it is." Made a very clear explanation as to why this was bad, particularly went into something called consequence management, talked to them about the consequences, political and otherwise, and that was enough to deter them. And that's avoided, at least till now, a two-front war, which was what the U.S. was really pushing for, was to avoid this widening of the conflict.
I appreciate that. I do want to turn quickly to the situation in the Red Sea as well, because we know just yesterday 2 Houthi ballistic missiles were fired into international shipping lanes. Why hasn't the U.S. more definitively struck back at this point?
The U.S. is probably looking at a lot of different options. The Saudis have asked us, as I understand it, not to step in there. They don't want to see this turn into a bigger war within Yemen or Yemen. They don't want to see this turn into a bigger war across the region. And of course, it's already widening because we have the problem today that there was a drone strike on a chemical tanker that wasn't in the Red Sea, wasn't even in the Gulf of Aden. It was all the way over close to India, that opening up the northern Indian Ocean. This is what everyone's concerned about, that this becomes something that shuts down shipping, not just in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, but also potentially in the Persian Gulf, potentially in that entire area. As you know, I've spent quite a bit of time on maritime security in that region, and that is a very busy waterway. Tremendous amount of commerce, oil, commercial goods, everything that goes through there. And what they're afraid of is this could have a macroeconomic hit on the world that could really put everybody back.
And we know there are still 180 people being held captive by Hamas, and the U.S. believes as many as 8 of them are Americans. What does the Biden administration, in your opinion, need to do to get them free and home safely?
Well, I hate to say this. We hope there's 180 people. We don't know how many are still alive. That's one of the problems, is that Hamas has not let International Red Cross visit the hostages to verify their status, their health, whether they are still alive or not. But the Biden administration, there's very active negotiations going on.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.